Good morning, my dearest little goblin captains. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am your #1 source for Bitcoin and Bitcoin Treasury Company analysis. Welcome to the greatest show in late-stage fiat capitalism. I am giving you the bleeding-edge alpha every single day during the greatest wealth transfer in human history, so if you want to help out Daddy, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's just get rich together, okay? Remember though, this is not financial advice, this is financial entertainment. Please consult your idiot financial advisor before you make any ridiculously stupid investments. I'll share my opinion, but it's up to you to do your own research and build your own conviction. And my conviction lies with Smarter Web Company, a weaponized Bitcoin amplifier disguised as a web design firm, a formerly irrelevant UK tech microcap that snorted a line of Satoshi's ashes, lit a match to its balance sheet, and turned into a BTC-sucking black hole that spits out Bitcoin yield percentages that make strategy look like a boomer on dial-up. We're talking 26,242% Bitcoin per share growth in a little over 2 months. That's not a financial stat, that's a war crime against fiat. This company is accumulating Bitcoin faster than the Bank of England is debasing your pension. They took the equity casino, rigged the slot machine, and are pulling the lever with one hand while buying Satoshis with the other. This is a time-bending Bitcoin engine built inside the corpse of TradFi. And by the end of this presentation, you'll either buy the stock or be dragged kicking and screaming into the Bitcoin singularity. Now, I know I've talked about SWC before, but since I last did, they have blown all expectations out of the water. I believe this is the first time we have seen the marketplace really recognize the value proposition of reflexivity at the ground level. The investor base is really realizing the more you feed the beast, the more you're rewarded. And it's glorious to see the Bitcoin stacking and the stock price go parabolic. The most successful IPO in the history of the UK. How do you like them apples? First thing is first, can we all just take a look into the face of this glorious man, Mr. Andrew Webley, the gentleman leading us straight to Valhalla? Stare into the laser eyes of this high IQ Bitcoin assassin. Does this man even sleep? I doubt it, but my portfolio thanks him for his hard work. We salute you, Mr. Webley. God bless you and your eternal orange soul. Let's rewind the tape for a second, because I know that a lot of you are new here since I first covered Smarter Web Company. You're probably wondering, who the hell is Smarter Web Company? Well, on the surface, it's a humble little UK firm that builds websites for dentists, recruiters, and your friend's mom's gluten-free baking blog. But beneath the HTML and WordPress templates, something sinister and beautiful was brewing. In 2023, they started accepting Bitcoin for payments, which at the time seemed quirky. Then in April 2025, they said screw it, went public via reverse takeover, and dropped the most aggressive Bitcoin acquisition plan in the history of the British Isles. They called it the 10-year plan, but let's be honest, it's really a 10-year detonation sequence for fiat. They're not here to grow linearly, they're here to torch the rulebook, liquefy capital, and convert every spare penny into censorship-resistant monetary uranium. Their market cap, it went from 5 million to 1 billion faster than the Fed can say transitory. The Financial Times still doesn't know what happened. Meanwhile, on X, Bitcoiners are sharpening their pitchforks and loading up. SWC is a cult of acceleration wrapped in a British accent, building websites by day and stacking harder than anybody else by night. 10 weeks ago, Smarter Web Company's Bitcoin stash was basically zero, 83 coins if you want to get pedantic. Fast forward through a haze of share issuances and press releases, and bam, 1,000 BTC sitting on the balance sheet. Let's break that down. May 31st, they awkwardly tiptoed in with 83 BTC for about $8.8 million, like dipping your pinky in the quantum soup. June 24th, they slammed the accelerator 197 BTC for $20.6 million, because why not go big when Bitcoin's wobbling? July 1st, they doubled down 230 BTC for $24.7 million, while most companies were still writing Q2 guidance. July 7th, the final blow, 226 BTC for $24.3 million. To hit exactly 1,000 BTC, that's $108 million deployed in a blistering sprint, with another $57.6 million waiting in the wing. Think about it, they raised cash, turned it into Bitcoin, then squeezed dilution and rode the share price bonanza all at once. It's like watching a financial octopus juggle flaming chainsaws while riding a rocket. It's full throttle capital obliteration for Satoshi supremacy. And guess what? They're just getting started. Really quick, I graphed out the first 80 days of Bitcoin Treasury accumulation for both Smarter Web Company and Metaplanet. Remember what I said about the investor base realizing the value of the reflexive feedback loop from day one? This is what it looks like. They're getting BTC yield faster than everyone by far. Look at this stacking acceleration. This is just insane. SWC is on the precipice of entering my Bitcoin Treasury company Goldilocks zone. My heavens, and they have all that cash and a high MNAV with about a month to cover. I could not be more bullish. So what's the method to this madness? What's the plan, you ask? Welcome to the 10-year plan, which is less of a plan and more of a Bitcoin-fueled corporate metamorphosis ritual. Step 1, redefine the treasury, which they've already done. Cash, that's for suckers. Fiat is melting faster than your 401k. So SWC declared Bitcoin for their strategic reserve asset, not a hedge, not an experiment, the foundation of the entire financial strategy. Step 2, convert stock premium into sats. They're running a stealth mode dilution program, selling tiny bits of equity into the market, drip feeding capital straight into Bitcoin. While normie investors are screaming dilution, SWC is just smiling and stacking. It's not dilution, it's transmutation. Turning fiat into Bitcoin, turning air into gold. For the low IQ clowns out there who are whining about how they bought at $7 and now the stock's at $5, calm down. They have 29 days to cover their premium with their stacking speed. If you message me, when should I sell, I may have to call your family to see if you are fit for a straitjacket in a mental asylum. If you have the time preference of a day trading degenerate trying to gamble their electric bill money on McDonald's stock, I don't want you in my audience. We're better than that. Sorry for the elitism, but I swear to the good Lord himself, I cannot deal with this question anymore. If you don't understand the strategy, do not buy the stock. Anyway, step 3, build a fireproof advisory board. They brought in the heavy hitters, Tyler Evans, who sees capital structure like Neo sees the Matrix, and Jesse Myers, a strategist so deep in the Bitcoin rabbit hole he probably pays rent in Satoshis. Also, an excellent head of hair on that man. It has to count for something. Step 4, keep fiat cash flows flowing while all this is happening. The web design business keeps generating baseline revenue. Setup fees, hosting support. It's boring, it's reliable, it's fiat-colored camouflage for the Bitcoin war machine underneath. This is not a tech company anymore. It's a Bitcoin acceleration cell embedded in the UK economy, and it is first to plant the Bitcoin flag. Now let's talk about the gas in the tank. How do you go from irrelevant web stop to Bitcoin apex predator in less than 3 months? Simple, you weaponize the capital markets like Rain Man with a Fidelity account. Here's what they did. June 6th, boom, $56 million raised from institutions via accelerated book build. Oversubscribed in hours, the city boys didn't even know what they bought. All they heard was Bitcoin and they saw a chart going vertical. July 7th, bang, another $31 million from a retail tranche. Dilution, sure, about 9%, but they didn't dilute to survive, they diluted to attack. They diluted to accumulate, they diluted to detonate. In total, $87 million of fresh fiat sucked in, vaporized, and alchemized into Bitcoin, like some kind of reverse vampire that feeds on equity premium and sweats out Satoshis. And the best part, their stock was so overheated they barely had to issue anything to raise that cash. It's like printing shares, lighting them on fire, and finding Bitcoin underneath the ashes. This isn't fundraising, this is a ritual sacrifice of TradFi capital to summon hard money demons. And they still have $57 million locked and loaded for the next dip. So when you see Bitcoin hiccup 5%, they'll be in the background quietly buying another 250 BTC and grinning like villains with diamond hands. Next slide, yield, the torque, the part where physics break down. All right, Freddy, hold on to your meat suit. Introducing Bitcoin yield, the thing that we're all here for unless you're a clown. Also known as the speed at which this company is converting fiat dilution into raw Satoshi per share velocity. The Smarter Web Company's year-to-date Bitcoin yield is 26,242%. Yes, you heard that correctly. Not 26%, not 262%, 26,242%. As in, they've increased the amount of Bitcoin backing each share by 263x since April. In the last 30 days alone, 560%. That's not a chart, that's a seizure. This is important because the market is pricing your stock based on the amount of Bitcoin exposure it represents. If your dilution is offset by stacking harder than Simon Garovich after a bottle of sake, You are winning. If you're doing it at 26,000%, you're basically ripping a hole in the monetary fabric of the universe. This isn't value investing, this is Bitcoin transubstantiation. The holy act of turning meaningless fiat into sovereign hard money. MicroStrategy, pioneered at SWC, is doing it on meth in a warehouse with flamethrowers and a lever labeled Max. This is what happens when capital structure becomes a weapon and Bitcoin is the ammunition. Next slide. Oh, it gets even more disturbing. Let's talk about the stock price. As you can see right now, the stock is at $5.35. It's up 25% today. We still got an hour and a half left of trading on July 8th, which is just nuts. Who knows where this might end up. Looking at the 5-day, up 62% in the last 5 days, 280% in the month. Now, this is the point that I want to make to you guys, okay? Looks like June 20th was the all-time high at $6.60 USD. Now, lots of people whining about buying it at the top. Here's the thing, folks. Here's just the thing. You got to listen up, you little rascals. You got to listen up, okay? This is what I'm talking about. The MNAV, the multiple at which the net asset value was trading at, was around a 40x, 30x. It was some ridiculous number depending on the time of the day that you were looking at it during this first initial crazy run-up. So the dilution has been incredibly accretive since that main run-up. And then as you can see, that premium was utilized. The biggest buys by far were after that initial run-up where the dilution was incredibly accretive. 196 Bitcoin purchased, 230, 226. Look at the amount of Bitcoin in each buy compared to before they just had that crazy run-up. That is the reflexive flywheel. That is what the market is realizing the utility of. The torque is tremendous to behold. According to their own website, it says the MNAV got to almost a 22 June 2nd. Me, along with anybody with the brain, was screaming at Smarter Web Company to slam as much dilution as possible to take advantage of that multiple. Yes, you do have your stock price go down, but I mean, just look at the advantage that it gives you. I'd much rather have us go down to 5 and 6 to generate this much coin accumulation. Zoom out and you'll be fine. Let's compare this British Bitcoin Banshee to the other contenders in this corporate accumulation war. We're talking global leaderboard. Forget revenue, forget earnings. It's about who's stacking hardest, fastest, and most violently per share. Here's the scoreboard. Smarter Web Company, 1,000 BTC held. Here's their 26,000 BTC yield. The takeaway, the fastest torque by far. Metaplanet, we know, is crushing 15,555 BTC with a killer yield of 416%. Not complaining there. I love Metaplanet. I'm a huge shareholder in Metaplanet myself. It is the bond-financed Godzilla in Japan, smack dab in the middle of my Bitcoin treasury Goldilocks zone. And the blockchain group is also just dominating with a killer over 1,000 BTC yield ever since 2025 began. The Eurozone sleeper cell, if you will. And strategy is the macro tank, the scale leader, slow but huge. Let's decode this. SWC is the fastest BTC per share accumulator in the world right now. This number is not capital efficiency, it's capital liquefaction. So what do we see? Smarter Web is the smallest company with the most violent BTC per share engine on Earth. They are to Bitcoin yield what a neutron star is to gravity. Every dollar they raise gets converted into Bitcoin with a much higher force of compounding leverage. You want exposure to Bitcoin's upside with maximum torque? You're looking at it right here. This is not a stock. This is not a company. This is a financial singularity wearing a British accent and a WordPress dashboard. The Smarter Web Company has done what no TradFi executive even dares. They've opened the portal. They are converting equity premiums into Bitcoin at a velocity that violates causality. 26,242 BTC yield in a matter of days. That's not growth, that's temporal arbitrage. They are compressing future monetary reality into present shareholder value faster than anybody. And here's the punchline. They've only deployed $108 million. They still have another 57 million loaded in the chamber. That's another 500 BTC ready to fire. You are staring at the most torque-efficient Satoshi maximizing capital structure on Earth. This is the apex predator of Bitcoin per share leverage. The yield is nuclear, the speed is terrifying, the opportunity is terminally asymmetrical. Let the boomers buy Costco at 59x earnings. Let the cowards buy gold and wait 40 years for a 2x. But you're here for conviction, acceleration, and interdimensional sat stacking. You're here to ride the torque, buy the ticker, hold the line, and watch Dr. Webley and Captain Myers ride this horse into domination land, one Satoshi at a time. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. If you enjoyed this content, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment on what you'd like me to cover next. Have a terrific day, my dearest little goblin professors. Class dismissed.